Mr. John Bell, as the Director of Business Relations and Outreach for the Better Business Bureau. For 13 years, John works directly with consumer groups, small businesses, state of Delaware, focused on the top scams targeting our citizens. John has been involved with the International Better Business Bureau, fraud and cybercrime team for an extensive period in time. He's been with Delaware pretty good time, and he's done fraud working groups and Delaware Association of Bank Security. So please allow me to welcome John to the stage to talk about evolving social engineering scams.
Thanks, Simon. Thank you very much. So Dan is a 22-year-old HVAC tech right here in Newcastle County, and he's sitting in his truck at the Wawa, 8:12 in the morning, scrolling through waiting to be dispatched to come fix somebody's heater or air conditioner or ventilation, because that's what the V stands for in HVAC. He gets a message from Amazon, it's a payment confirmation or an order confirmation, says that he's ordered $5,200 in electronics. He's like, I didn't do that. There's the number to call Amazon, hits the button, calls the phone. Pretty typical phishing scam so far, but where it blows my mind is when the scammer gets on the phone and Dan's like, I didn't make that purchase. The scammer's like, whoa, 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 Dan. There's a lot of scams going on right now. How do I know you're really Dan? I'm going to send you a login for you to verify your credentials before I can do anything to your account. A pair of doctors and lawyers are buying a building in Wilmington. The two doctors hired a lawyer to take care of all the work. They're very excited. The day of the closing, they get a text from the lawyer. It says, Jim and Bob, I am so sorry. We need to change your wire transfer instructions for the closing money. I'm in a meeting for the next 2 hours trying to deal with this BS, but if we don't send it to the new address, the whole deal's going to fall through. I will explain later. I'm so sorry. Looked just like their lawyer friend's way of communicating was with his same text phone number. He even sent a verifying email on the letterhead of the firm, apologizing and asked them to quickly change that. There's a VP at a major organization on vacation, well-deserved vacation too. Help desk gets a call from that VP saying, there's a fire and I need to put it out. But I'm out of the country and I need you to help me log in. Here's my name. Here's my social. Here's my date of birth. Here's my mother's maiden name. What else do you need to get me access while I'm out of the country? Because I got to get online and fix this problem. And this is what's happening every day in Delaware. We see an inordinate amount of fraud and scam. And any IT professional will tell you, the Achilles heel is the users. It's the social engineering that goes into changing how people act and react into a way that serves the scammers. The hands-on level that the scammers have gone to in recent history is astounding because it's the full court press. So I work for BBB, and where we get involved with this is, one, we do a lot of work with law enforcement. So I'm the co-chair of the Delaware Fraud Working Group. I work with the Association of Bank Security, and we also, BBB gets reports when people think they've had a substandard interaction with a business that they believe is real. And sometimes it is. We just helped Troop 4 shut down a guy down in Milton. He was ripping off old people and home improvement fraud. But a lot of times we get these complaints against businesses that are 100% not real businesses. Right? There are people that want to complain because they ordered a cute top on a new website and it didn't arrive, and they want to complain with that website. They don't realize it's a scam. They don't realize the challenges that go into how they need to legitimize things in today's world. So before I get into some of these case studies, I want to really talk about a challenge in our society around victim blaming. Because one of the things that's a huge problem for law enforcement, for education, for BBB, is that nobody wants to share when something happens. I didn't even bother with the PowerPoint today. Because one, what would I show you? Victim stories. It'd be your mom, my dad, your brother, his sister, your son, right? It's everybody. The victims are not old, they're not young, they're not smart, they're not dumb, although the news does present it, right? Because if you're going to read a story, it's going to be about somebody's 80-year-old grandmom who lost an $80,000 nest egg. Local high school student loses $200 in fake check scam. I'm not clicking to read on that, right? That's not as exciting for me. But what's going on here is a culture where people are afraid to report because we make them feel stupid. Right? Look at the language we use. Oh, you were a victim of a scam because you fell for it. How could you be so dumb? What were you thinking? I have seen families turn against their aged parents after they've already been victimized, right? A romance scam victim, he sent away $150,000, realized what was going on, turned to his family for help, and the family shouted him down. They were so angry. He already felt stupid, right? He already felt the weight of what he had done. He realized it by the time he shared it, but then to have that compounded by his own family, yeah, no wonder people hide it. Also, hard to do a PowerPoint when the first thing victims do when they realize they've been deceived is they just try to erase it. They delete the text message chain. They blot out that point in their life. They pretend it didn't happen because it's awful for them. It's awful for them. So yes, I'm going to be up here and I'm going to try to tell an engaging presentation, right? So I'm going to be all jazz hands and stories because I want you to understand what's happening locally, and the stories do blow my mind. But I don't want to lose sight of the fact first that this is awful, and the victims that I work with lose so much more than money. They lose, if they're older, independence, or if they're younger, they lose credibility. They lose social standing. They lose let's talk about the financial insecurity of a lot of people in the state right now. I don't think anybody can afford to lose money, but a lot of people that are losing it definitely can't afford to be losing it. But it's also the emotional impact. There's a mental health cost that goes along to being a victim of a fraud or scam that is compounded, that when we then turn around and say, how could you be so dumb? So what I want to show is that it's not that people are being so dumb, it's that scammers have just upped their game, right? It's a full court press. So we will work with a couple down in Lewis, right? Arlene won Publishers Clearinghouse. Congratulations, Arlene. She got a call, Publishers Clearinghouse congratulated her on second prize. She was going to get $400,000. Before she could even say, to question it, they were like, now listen, Arlene, there's a lot of scams surrounding Publishers Clearinghouse. So I need you to do two very important things. One is I'm going to send you supporting documents with your sweepstakes code that I need you to contact either a division of Publishers Clearinghouse, our legal team. I'll send you their contact information on letterhead. Or we work with the FBI. We're going to send you a contact agent where you can call the FBI to confirm that this is valid. You know what they even sent them? These MFers even sent them the BBB's information. They validated this to high heaven, and they said, we need you to confirm that this is real because tomorrow, before we can issue you the paperwork for the $400,000 check, we are going to have to ask you to prove that you can pay the $1,500 in taxes. Now, we used to do that with bank accounts, but it's not safe. You should never give your bank account to anybody. So get a prepaid gift card and load $1,500, right? Promise, we're not going to touch it. I swear. Promise. It was 4:30 in the afternoon. Arlene was super stoked. She got the supporting documents, all amazing forgeries. She called the FBI, and the FBI's like, FBI, how can I help? I don't really know if the FBI talks like that. Like, if you're from the FBI, I hope you do. FBI, how can I help you? Yes, indeed, ma'am, you are the winner. I'm checking your sweepstakes code right now. Yes, there are a lot of scams, and the gift card thing is 100% real. Don't give your bank account to anybody. Congratulations on your winnings. It's going to be life-changing. Have a nice day. Bye. Click. She's like, done, sold, I did it. Publishers Clearinghouse. Gets the gift card next morning. Scammer calls at the appointed hour. Publishers Clearinghouse, all over the caller ID. She's like, here's the gift card. See, the money's on there. And the scammer does nothing. The scammer says, thank you, Arlene. You've done everything we asked. You're in great shape. We're going to send you the paperwork, and you're going to be $400,000 richer next week. But keep this under your hat for a little bit. You'll be amazed how many prize winners have a huge problem with people coming after them for money before you even cash the check. All right? So don't worry about Arlene, but we're going to walk you through the process. Call her back an hour later. Money still on the gift card. Arlene, first place was disqualified. You're not our second place winner. You're our first place winner. $1.2 million. We do need the extra taxes, of course, but $1.2 million. We just need you to load that gift card with another $3,000. Why take $1,500 from a victim when you can take $4,500? These guys are smart. They know just what they're doing. Unless you believe that it is old people, which, by the way, nobody prefers that nomenclature. I've not yet met a person who's like, yeah, I'm an old person. Not the preferred nomenclature. This happens to younger consumers as well. We talked, especially, so there was a young gay man right here in Newcastle County who was on Grindr. Grindr is an LGBTQ-friendly app, dating app, relationship building app. He gets on the app, and within an hour and a half, things get a little steamy. Alcohol was on board, but it turned into a, I'll show you mine if you show me yours situation. Surprisingly common, actually, in high schools in the state of Delaware. Young men specifically get into this situation an awful lot, and then they get the text that says, now that I have this picture of you, I'm going to have to ask you for $2,000 because I have enough information from our text to know exactly where to send this to hurt you. I know where you go to school. I know where you work. I can probably get this in front of your family because I saw your Insta feed and I know who follows you. So that'll just be $2,000 and this problem goes away. God, that's awful. It's awful. And when you talk to the victims who realize that what they were doing was already taboo, that's why it was exciting. But now they realize that this picture of them is out there. I mean, young ladies aren't immune either, but the scammers don't even need a picture of them with deepfakes out there. You can take anybody's Instagram page, take a picture, make anybody you want, doing anything you want, with anybody you want, and it looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. But these things are happening. They're skewing older, they're skewing younger, and the narrative needs to shift around the victims being at blame, right? This is the societal equivalent of saying that a rape victim shouldn't have worn that dress, right? That's abhorrent, and we would never do that. But when somebody's victimized by scammers who are legitimizing this to high heaven, we absolutely have the knee-jerk reaction of being like, you're dumb. And that also protects us, though, because if only dumb people fall for this stuff, then I protect my invulnerability illusion. And that's how these guys are getting away with it. But they also hit the kids in their inexperience. Glenn was a freshman right here at UD. He was all like doing his independent dance. I'm independent, I'm on my own. He got an email from the Handshake Network. And the email was like, hey, there's an opportunity to do a gig economy job while you're at UD. Here's the website where you can go and apply for the job. Doesn't compete with any of our, code of conduct or whatever. So, if you want to apply for it. He did a text message interview to be a secret shopper. Now, I'll argue that that's a giant red flag, except have any of you taught your kids that no real business will do a text message interview? Most of us haven't had that conversation with our kids. Glenn's parents hadn't, so he did a text message interview. He loves text anyway. They say, well, job's pretty easy, Glenn. We're going to send you to Target. We're going to pay you $200 because we need to know how Target's doing. Our company does quality control for Target and a lot of other big box stores. You go to Target, give us a report on where Target can improve. You collect $200. And if you do it by next week, we'll send you to Walmart too. What do you think? Glenn says, that's hot sauce. Let's do it. But he gets the check by overnight, and it's for $1,000. And he texts his boss. He said, wait, I thought I was only going to get paid $200. And they're like, Glenn, you can't be a secret shopper without shopping, pal. Right? So the other $800 is for you to buy something in the store, right? In addition to like checking out the lighting and if the shelves are well stocked, you got to go through and make sure that cashier is smiling happy. Or if they hate their life, we need to know. So I don't even care, buy gift cards, right? $800 in any kind of gift card you want, because then when you upload your report about how Target's doing, you can scratch gift cards off and give us our money back. But go, Glenn, we got to get started. As soon as that check clears, buddy, we got to get you moving because we want to send you elsewhere next week. The part about the story that really pisses me off is that Glenn did a really good job. I mean, he's getting ripped off, right? That check's not going to clear. He did a really good job. He spent 3 effing hours in the Target, 3 hours of his life working for a scammer. He had a really good job. He had a good work ethic. Yeah, copious notes. Apparently, in his opinion, Target had some room for improvement. But he bought the gift cards, uploaded it, sent it away, and then the end of next week, his bank is like, Glenn, how are you going to pay us back that $800 you overspent? And Glenn's like, what are you talking about? And they're like, yeah, that check was fake. And Glenn's like, wait. I deposited the check by picture, and my phone showed me the money was available the next day. I went to the store, I put in my PIN number when I used my card, and you let me spend the money. And now it's a week later, you say the check is not real, but I have to pay you back? Yes, you do, Glenn. And listen, I'm not bank shaming here. Banks would go out of business, right? It's a $50 billion scourge on the economy. Nobody, no organization, not BBB, not a bank, not the government, nobody can cover these fraud losses. But kids don't understand that either. They think there's a safety net, and it's shocking and disheartening for them when they realize there is not. Worked with a young woman down in Virginia Beach. She got a remote job. She was unemployed, 27 years old, single mom of 2 kids. She was out of work, but she had a good customer service resume. She found a job on Indeed, applied to the company, BitGo Mining, LLC, right in Dover, Delaware. They contacted her back. They said, yeah, this looks like it might be a good fit based on your qualifications. Let's set up a virtual interview. So they did a virtual interview with her. And they asked her all the right questions, right? So, Lisa, it's a customer service job. Tell me about when you had to diffuse an angry customer. So, Lisa, it's a remote job. How do I know you're not going to be like taking a nap while we're paying you? It wasn't a long interview, but from the waist up, they looked totally professional, native English speakers. And at the end of the interview, they said, we'll let you know. We'll let you know. And then about an hour later, they emailed her, congratulations, you've moved on to the second round of interviews. Yes, they made her earn this job. 2 rounds of remote interviews, let her know that she came down to just her and one other candidate. She was so stoked when she got this job. They sent her a W-2 to fill out. They sent her an application. You know, we need your bank account for direct deposit, of course. Name, social, all your contacts, you know, the stuff that we need to validate you as an employee, of course. Sent her an employee handbook. And they said, but the most important thing, Lisa, is you don't know much about cryptocurrency. So we got to help you understand it. And it's really not complicated. Really, Lisa, it's not. So what we're going to do is we're going to put $5,000 in your bank account, right? We're going to go ahead and transfer it to you. We have your bank account. You gave it to us for direct deposit. Thanks for that. And I want you to withdraw it and go to a crypto ATM and just send it back to us. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So she did. And then the scammers, because they're really, really dogs, they call her and they're like, hey, when are you going to send us that money? And she's like, I did send you the money. And they're like, no, you didn't. What are you talking about? Did you send our money somewhere else? We walked you through how to do it. She's like, no, I did everything you did. I did everything you say. They're like, are you a scammer? We don't know you. Oh my God, did you just rob us? We're going to call the police if you don't cough up our $5,000. Oh my God, every time I talked to Lisa, she was in tears. The bank, by the way, identifying the suspicious transaction into her account, froze her account. So when she went to the bank for help, they were like, don't leave the state. The state police are going to be contacting you because we think you're complicit. Oh my God, it's awful. It's awful. And when she called me to be like, I want to complain about Bitco mining, all I could do is tell her, well, they're not real. And we're going to help you do everything we can to prevent re-victimization. But you're not getting your money back. She was already out of work. When the bank froze her account, she only had $7,200 for her name. She sent $5,000 to scammers. She was living off of borrowed money and credit cards for the 2 weeks until the bank was like, yeah, you weren't complicit, you were a victim. We're still closing your account for security. We'll mail you a check. Oh my God, but that's the reality of what these people are dealing with. And then to turn around and have her family be like, you're so stupid, Lisa. You're so stupid. Oh my God, it's awful and it needs to change desperately. Happens in business too, right? The doctors, when they did their forensics investigation, they found out that it was actually their own system that had been compromised. I love talking about it with this crowd because it's dwell time, right? The amount of time that the scammers had access to that system and just sat there waiting for that transaction, for that estate, for that closing day, it was over 3 months. It's not even that long, really, considering how long some of these guys will sit there. But this is the landscape of what these scammers are doing. And in business, imagine you're a business owner. We had a roofing company. They sent their final invoice, right? They'd taken a small deposit up front, sent their final invoice after they did the job. And the customer's like, what are you talking about? I already paid you. And they're like, no, the payment terms were, 20% up front, 80% on completion of the job. And they're like, no, you sent me an email with the new invoice that said that if I didn't pay you the balance a week ago, you weren't going to finish the job. Remember, we texted about it and everything. So what had happened was that the consumer's email had been compromised. And the scammers had seen that there was a very large payment being made to a roofing company in short order. There was the copy of the document with the invoice that they could copy and forge, and then they could see the number for the owner and the business on there to do a little bit of spoofed phone number, contact them to say, we're really sorry, but we need you to pay the rest of it first. So she paid them. So you're the business owner. You just spent money on materials. You paid your guys. You put the roof on that house. They sent the money to somebody else. Who's liable? What happens in that situation? It's an evolving industry, and there's a lot of challenges, but the fraud and the scam that are happening through social engineering are real, they're local, and they're going to get worse. I was at a conference in DC at the end of August, and what I was shown by a presenter in real time was what he fully admitted was the worst version of this that we were going to see. But what he showed us was AI, and in 8 seconds, with a volunteer from the audience, AI scraped their LinkedIn profile. And in 8 seconds, it knew generally how old they are based on when they graduated school. It knew their interests. It knew their job history. It knew everything they'd ever commented on. It knew everything that they'd ever hearted and liked. It knew anything that they'd ever put in their testimonials for someone else or any testimonials written for them. And in 8 seconds, it was like, here's who this person is. And then the presenter threw me a drop-down box. He's like, now, do I want to send this person romance scam? Or do I want to send them investment scam? Do I want to send them, what about political donation scams? What about just hate mail? And what he showed me was AI's capability to take the scammers and take their time and just let them step back. Push a button and go. The only saving grace in all the stories that I've told you is that the scammers had to put the time into it. We talked to a romance scam victim. She was dubious at first. And the guy was like, listen, let's do a Skype call. They made a deep fake video to convince her that they were real. That's time. That's effort. That's energy. But fast forward, and with the advent of AI, now we're going to have scammers that are able to make every one of us a target. Because historically, they're big game hunters. They're financially motivated, right? This is the North Korea ATM, right? It's state agencies, nation states, advanced persistent threat. This is big business, even beyond that. But it took time and it took resources. But AI are going to make it ubiquitous and accessible for them to target everyone. Because if all they have to do is push a button, they don't care how many of you they get money from or whether it's only $50 or $100 or whatever. I don't know if you guys remember, a couple years ago, we saw the same sort of crisis with you guys remember the One Ring scam where your phone would ring one time and then would hang up? And people were like, it's a scam. Not the Say Yes scam, which, by the way, there were no victims of ever in my experience. And voice cloning does that better today anyway. But it was the idea that some scammer somewhere was like, wait, if I buy phone numbers from the dark web and I set an auto dialer to call 100,000 people per day, well, look, in the first case, older people aren't going to call back, right? No voicemail, we're not going to call back. By the way, I don't prefer to be called an older person. I'm an older consumer. But younger people, they don't use voicemail the way we do, and so they do call it back. And what they were calling back was the equivalent of a 900 number, where if they stayed on the line long enough, their phone would be billed about $5. And the scammers realized, well, my goodness, if I can just buy phone numbers and send this out, maybe only 10% of people call the number back. So that's 10,000 a day. Maybe only 1,000 of them don't see the charge to dispute, or no, that stay on the line. So maybe 10,000 call it back, maybe 1,000 stay on the line long enough to generate a bill, and maybe only 100 don't see the bill crammed into their utility bill or their phone bill to dispute it. Well, that's still $500 a day. And the scammer, all they had to do is buy a list on the dark web, hit go on their auto dialer, and I'm here to tell you that AI is going to do the same thing times 100. Because every one of us can be in the crosshairs, and it's going to look real because the AI is going to know us. But they don't need to do the back and forth anymore. They don't need to do the relationship building. They can let the computers do that. And what I saw was the worst version of it. But the goal for this presentation is to share that this is real, this is happening, and you are 100% right that the Achilles heel is the users. But I really think that the Achilles heel in the United States is isolation and loneliness. Too many of the victims that I talk to, they're isolated by the scammers, and they're in a position where they don't have a network that they feel comfortable talking to about it. Their online network that they meet feels more real to them. So understand that that's what's going on. Understand that AI is what's coming down the pipeline. But in the hopes that we all can sort of understand the narrative, let's see if we can't stop doubling down and making people feel awful when they're already a victim of this stuff. Thank you guys very much, and thank you to DTI and everyone for being sponsors and supporters of the event. All right. Solomon says I got time for questions. I try to keep it tight so I don't want to go over. Solomon said we get out of here early if we do that. Sure, questions though, let's do it. I'd love to take some Q&A.
Any questions?
What's that? How much is the average loss? Great question. I'm going to tell you though, I don't love that question because we do fixate on the big dollar values, so I don't make you feel dumb for asking that. But honestly, what happens a lot of times, the romance scammer that fell victim to the deep fake, right, and sent money, by the time it came on our radar, the answer to the question, how much money did they send, was all of it, and they were taking out a loan to send more. So focusing on the dollar values isn't as important as focusing on the impact to that victim. Is that a question? I love it. Yeah, question. I'm not talking about ChatGPT, and I'm not talking about Gemini. I'm talking about AI that is designed by scammers or with a purpose for doing that. A lot of organizations are looking at using AI because it's great for a lot of things. Well, in BBB, we're looking at saying if we can take a business that's got like 100 different reviews, some good, some bad, some complaints, some whatever, and have AI put an easier to digest summary to say overall, here's what's going on with this business to help the public make a better buying decision. But it's the idea of tailoring an AI to whatever you want it to do. And when it's public information that's out there, the ability to scrape that and create a profile, that's the challenge, not necessarily the AI that you're using to, Yeah, but great question, though. Yeah.
Thank you, John.
Thank you guys very much.